All right. Sorry about that delay, everybody. We are running late. I apologize for that. My fault. We will get through the intro here. What? Names? Huh? What? I can't use... Oh, okay. Hello. Yeah, no, I see some people in here that are like trying to stir the pot. We're just gonna remove those people if you want to continue trying to do that, you guys. All right, so welcome to the show, everybody. The True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name's Brendan.
And I'm Malia.
And welcome to the show. So, obviously, quite a few of our viewers have seen the video from Get a Clue. I'm just going to start off this show referencing that because I won't continue focusing on that. Look, you guys, you can see our AXIOM at the bottom of the screen. All right. And I think that most of our longtime viewers know us pretty dang well and how we handle drama in the true crime community. So here you go. Ready? Here's all the drama. Get a clue. I apologize that, we brought up logical scientific conversation back and forth. And if you can't handle it, no offense. We were never meaning for it to be offensive. And, we'll just move on and continue talking about our science. And we're just going to leave it at that. So.
Yeah. And, there was at no point where we were trying to be arrogant or condescending or putting anyone down or poking anybody. We literally are just here to learn and have never tried to persuade, try to portray ourselves like we are above anybody, like we know more than anybody, like we're here to school you.
Hang on. I think there's something up with our mics.
Okay.
So we can be wrong. We can also be correct. I mean, it doesn't matter to us. It's all about the learning. It's all about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And there's a big reason why we never pick fights with content creators. And that's because we respect everybody.
Yeah.
And we're never trying to hurt anybody. If he doesn't, we had back and forth with him before where he was respectful and we were respectful. So we thought that it would be okay.
Yeah.
But then he couldn't handle it.
I guess I don't want to make it seem like that it's that he couldn't handle it. I guess there was just a level of assumption of respect there between us that made us feel like we could push, but learning from today's video that he couldn't handle that. That's what the apology's for. And I would do the same to any creator out there because look, I'm not here to try and be right about anything, you guys. Why do you think my motto is I only know one thing in life, and that's that I know nothing? Okay, so I'm not too big to apologize, and I'm here for the science. And science is above everybody. It is above me. It is above Malia. It is above everybody out there, right? And that's why we talk about the science, because it's concrete and it's not arguable, I guess the way that people can perceive that science is different, and the way that people manipulate science is different. The reason why I'm apologizing is because clearly he took what we were saying as a stab. And I don't handle myself like that ever. You will never, ever see me handle myself like that. And if I have an issue with someone, I'm going to come out here and say, hey, I have an issue with you, and just leave it at that.
Yep. We'll leave it at that and move on. that's really all we had to say about it.
We'll stick to the science, and we'll approach it a different way. We can talk about the same things, you know. So we have a couple super stickers and super chats that came through. Awesome. Thank you, James, one of our newer viewers. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you for that super sticker, followed up by a super chat. Respect and appreciate you always. I'm sorry. People always complain that I burp in the mic because I chug my energy drinks, because they help me with my ADHD, because I don't use medication for my ADHD. I use caffeine.
You guys, I'm just hanging on there with you every time he does it. Trust me. It's cringe. It makes me cringe too.
All right. Anyways, let's get into it. Welcome to the show, everybody. And you can find us on every major podcast platform. Thought Riot Podcast, spelt all the way out. Thought Riot Podcast, spelt all the way out. You can find us on every social media platform. Thought Riot Podcast, spelt all the way out. All the way out. And we're super happy to have you here hanging out. I know we have like 7 or 8 different platforms that we stream to. And those 7 or 8 platforms, only 3 of them have chats. Only one of those have a chat that is blowing up and active and super fun, and that chat is on YouTube. So if you're on one of those other platforms and you would like to engage in the chat, I highly suggest that you come over to YouTube and hang out and engage in all the madness in the chat that we have going on here. So what I wanted to do, though, you guys, is I wanted to dig directly into this. I want to take a step back and go at it from a different angle here. Hang on. I guess because one more thing. I guess I'll make one more comment in the get a clue thing, okay? Because I did watch the whole video from today. You know that based on what I saw today, I actually believe we're talking about the same thing in different ways. You know that? Did you pick up on that? So I don't know if anyone remembers this, and I'm not going to bring it up again, okay? Just this one thing, because it popped up in my head when I was watching his video. So he's trying to make the argument that the cell tower historical data, or CDR data, okay, which are 2 different things. One's an OSINT, one's open source information. So you're not going to have detailed information in open source data information.
Wait. I thought they're all cell carrier or cell provider data, which isn't open source.
No. So CDR is open source. CDR is open source, so it's never going to be reliable because it's a subscription-based service, and subscription bases can't be open source. They cannot be open source. But anyways, I think the argument that we're trying to make is the same argument. The issue comes in where I've said from the beginning that cell tower data is concrete and not real time. I mean, historical data is concrete. As long as you have enough towers, as long as you have enough overlapping towers.
Yeah, but then he started arguing the exact opposite and saying that it's actually out in the country with less towers is more accurate when trying to determine the way someone's traveling or something like that.
Yeah. But that was the difference of a 3G network versus versus the newer networks.
And you also just said something that sounded super contradictory that I didn't understand. You just said CDR is open source or OSINT data, and then you said it's subscription based and can't be open source.
No. So
you didn't make sense. So
okay, so we'll start on that. So cell record data, okay, CDR, call detail records. CDR data is historical call data that back in the old day, I say the old day, I shouldn't say it like that. Back in the 2G, 3G day, which is literally like a decade ago, it's not a long time ago, you would get your call data printed out to you, and it would include a literal lat and longitude number. Okay. And that lat and longitude number was based on the RTT being sent to the tower and back. Okay. But that was based off single tower data. So the argument that is being made is that that is unreliable. And my argument is I agree that is unreliable. The reason why I agree it's unreliable is exactly what that expert was saying, that the placement or the overall area of coverage, right? I need to pull up that map. So you know how we broke down the map into three, it's like what alphabet, or I'm sorry, I changed it to A, B, C. So we had three sections, right? Because the cell towers are in a triangle format, three sections, and then they're cordoned off by lines around it. And each one of those is the section for which the RTT travels to the tower.
Okay.
And we're going to get into the science here. We have the cast report here we're going to go through. Well, each one of those pieces on A, B, and C, and then the line around it, those were large areas. And in 2G and 3G time, you're talking 150 square miles. So when you're getting data from one tower, and that one tower, that historical cell tower data is 150 square miles, yeah, unreliable. It doesn't make it junk science because it is true, but it
can only give a range.
It can only give a range.
A pretty wide
was
range.
Massive, like huge.
Right. So then, well, I have a few questions. And one is, well, then what has changed now? What would be different in 2022 or now? Like, because honestly, you guys, this is all irrelevant when we're even talking about Bryan Kohberger's case, because we know the cell data is trash in this case and cannot prove where he was with any type of precision. It may give an idea of a direction, but it's not going to be precise. And he very well could have traveled more close to Moscow, like Get a Clue was saying, within 20 miles of the Blaine Tower. He absolutely could have. I don't feel like we've ever tried to say anything different. We don't know. We haven't seen the evidence. We have no idea. But I do want to say again, and I mentioned this when I was looking at Mike Cherry's website last night, is he specifically highlighted between like the years 2000 to 2015 as when issues were like there were a lot of issues in cell tower analysis when it came to court cases. And also
it's because of that range.
Yep. And also the podcast that he was playing in today's video is 4 years old. And this expert from Garrett Discovery is talking about cases that are multiple years before that. Yeah,
we'll stick to what we're presenting. So I don't.
That's fine. I just want to say, look, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to come off wrong or anything. But if you're going to argue something, just make it relevant to the time period that it took place in. But I don't think this expert is going to be using cellular analysis when it comes to the towers, like with provider data. Do you think that's what he's going to be using to? I think he might use it to debunk the state's case. I think he might be using it in the way that Mike Cherry used his information, or other experts who are literally defense experts have done in the past to debunk their case. But I think he's going to try to prove that statement about Wawaway Park through metadata, through GPS. I think that is going to be what it is.
We know. Oh shoot, I forgot more came in. I'm sorry, James. I got talking and didn't shout you out. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Love your support and super happy that you're here with us. Thank you for both of those additional super stickers. We appreciate you for that.
Look, I'll make one more comment about the Get a Clue thing, and then I'm leaving it alone. I have never always appreciated him and his input. And yeah, we're not ever trying to offend anyone or poke at anyone or hurt anybody. And I understand his frustrations when it comes to the online world. I truly do. but it was never my intention to be that person. And also, we would never copyright strike anybody.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That brings up that other issue. Shoot, I should have wrote notes. So there was one other thing said in the video, you guys. So there was a comment made that, you know, we allowed somebody to make fun of his sexuality or sexual preference or something like that. Look, that's not allowed. If I saw that, whoever that is would be blocked.
You would be banned.
Yeah. So I don't know where that was seen, but that's just not allowed in here, you guys. So please don't go down that road. Please don't make me block you for that. That's not okay. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. There's nothing scientific about that, right? Poking at someone's personal preferences, and I don't know what his are. I have no idea, but I just know that it was on that topic. I don't even care. Like, someone's argument doesn't change whether they are gay, straight, or other. I couldn't care less. Like, that's absolutely pointless in science. You know, numbers don't care what your sexual preference is.
Yeah, and people are always going to talk crap in the comments, okay? Like, there's plenty of people under his video talking crap about us. People talk crap in our comments, and we remove the bullying type ones if we see them, of course. But look, it is the internet. People are allowed to say whatever they want for the most part, but we try to moderate as best we can. And if anybody makes fun of somebody's sexuality, they're just banned. They're not. You are not wanted here.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving on here, and what were we talking about? The multi-tower thing. I seen a couple of people asking, doesn't so I guess a comment was made in our chat here saying that when there's more towers, the less reliable it is. And that's not true. That is the basis of cell tower triangulation. And cell tower triangulation was never based off of real life current tracking. It has always been based off of RTT time, round trip time. So I think that there's a difference in opinion here, because we're talking about open source data and open source intelligence. So it's either OSD or OSINT, okay? And open source are things like what you're going to see in fog data science. Now, fog data science is a very specific science type. It is actually a company, and what they use is open source technology with a blended mixture of call data and GPS, which is effectively geo-blended data. Geo-blended data includes cell tower data. And that's why I'm using this, you guys. This is directly from the FBI. This is their cellular analysis and geolocation field resource guide. However, this is only current as of March 2019. I've put in to have a more current one, but based off what I was reading, it looks like they only come out once every 4 years. There was one before this at 2015, and the 2019, I'll call out the parts that aren't relevant anymore, and there are quite a few, because we aren't okay. Yeah, I'll talk about that, razzle dazzle. Hang on one sec. We aren't in the 2G 3G time frame anymore. That doesn't exist. Okay, so why that's important is because 2G used to be able to go like 150 miles. Okay, 3G could easily go 50 miles, which means when you're breaking down cell tower triangulation, when that RTT time is placed in a specific sector, in a specific area, the overall range, the average the totality of the RTT on one of the sides, 33.33% of the side, okay, because towers are a triangle, could be a range of like 250 square miles. So, yeah, I know that he was asking for my resume, you guys. I've said this a million times, and I'll continue saying it. I wish I could give it to you. I really, really, really wish I could give you my resume. I can't. Okay, and that's also why I say I am not an expert. I have 15 years of experience in this science. I cannot give you my resume because my current job does not allow that. I am not allowed to. When I was hired, I have to sign an agreement saying that, you know, on social media platforms, I am not allowed to talk about my position or who employs me. So I'm sorry, but that's not possible, you guys.
Yeah, and I just
that's also why I say don't believe what I say. Sorry, I interrupted you. That's also why I say don't believe what I say. Just use the data that we're sharing as a carrot and verify it, right? Because things that I say are gonna be wrong too at times.
That is day one declaration from day one. Use the information you see here to do your own research. Do not take it as fact. Ever. And that goes for anybody's platform, literally anybody. I don't care who they are. You should never just take it as fact. You got to be able to think for yourself and critically think. Also, I think I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that.
No, we just need to move on from it. I'm not here to try and be right. I'm not here to try and make it seem like what I say is more believable because of this, or this, which that's one of the logical fallacies we went over. And I'm just trying to hold myself to that I'm not right because of this thing, right? Data and science is right because data and science can back up the fact that it's right, but people aren't right. So just because I have 15 years experience doesn't mean I'm right, you guys. That experience just allows me to draw connections and investigations that allow us to talk about it more openly. And then people that want to learn more will use that information to go dig. And you know how many people have come out? Like, what's a good example? The Karen Reed case is a good example. I came out with the Karen Reed video and I messed that video up, you guys. Like, messed up all the names. I swear more than half of it was wrong, okay? But it's still up. We left it up, okay? And we just take it as it comes and move forward and just say, hey, we're wrong, you guys.
And I saw a comment saying, oh my gosh, I quit watching Thought Riot when they didn't know what a GPA was, you know, and they just kept going on and just making things up until the commenters corrected them. It's when I thought somebody said GPA because my family puts GPA as GPA in text messages.
Oh, okay.
And so when I read it, I literally said GPA because that's what my family texts.
That's really
like
funny.
About my grandpa. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's how I read it. And I kind of explained that. I don't think I went into detail about my family, but I said I thought it said GPA. But obviously I know what a GPA is.
Yeah.
What I would have to have,
I don't know.
I would have had to have dropped out at like before high school to not know what a GPA is.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't want to prove I know anything. That's too much responsibility, you guys. I just want to be looked at as the funny guy in the corner. All right. Okay, so let's get into this report.
It's just funny.
So. Table of contents, and this is a long document, you guys. It's like 130 pages, and it's very interesting. Here, I'll change it here. Okay, I probably should have bookmarked it. And for those of you that don't know, Get a Clue is just a creator, and you could check out his channel. What is his tag? What is it?
I don't know.
Real quick.
Just Get a Clue, I think.
It's not. There's some numbers behind it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Just because if we're talking about someone, I want to be able to put their information out there. I'm just not willing to talk bad about people, you know.
No, I don't ever want to do that either.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Heather. So it is at Get a Clue spelt out 429. Get a clue 429. But you know, we'll leave it at that, and we won't bring him up anymore.
No, he said he doesn't want to be mentioned anymore.
Yeah.
So we won't.
Okay. So CAS origin. This is really important. And like I said, there's a 2015 version of this. Here, let me take off our names so that I don't look like a head popping out. Okay, there we go. All right, so there is a 2015 version of this CAS report, you guys, and it breaks down the information of what we are going to be seeing from the Idaho 4 case and Bryan Kohberger case. I believe that, yes, we are going to be seeing cellular historical data. There's no way that we're not. This also goes into how cell phone companies have cellular historical data and the frequency at which they keep it, which is interesting, right? So Project Pinpoint uses the following data sets: historical cell tower lists, FBI informants and liaison contacts, fugitive warrant data, other divisional crime data, other data deemed appropriate, such as visas, camera, case information. So essentially, CAS' whole point is not only to determine where someone was at, but this Project Pinpoint is saying that they are used to determine the path traveled using all of these things. Visas, like if someone were to stop at an ATM and pull money out, it looks like they use that. Cameras, other crime data,
so this
warrant lists, and then historical cell tower data. Their goal is fugitive apprehension, informant development, and enhancement of investigations.
So wait.
What?
This is the origin of CAS.
This is the origin of CAS, and this is really important because of Bryan Kohberger's alibi at the very end that we read last night that says our expert is going to have more to talk about once they get the report, the whatever it said, once they get the additional information from the state. And the additional information from the state is going to be the cast. I mean, if I'm wrong there, someone help me understand what else there could be. Why would this expert be waiting on something that's not the cast report?
Right.
You know? And remember, we talked about this last night. So the reason why OSINT data is not reliable because the open source, but the defense can't go to these cellular companies and say, hey, we need your background data. We need your historical cell data. The feds are going to do that, or law enforcement is going to do that, and then they're going to send it to them for a cost. All right, priorities: an immediate threat to life. FBI priorities, including national safety, criminal and cyber, assistance to state and local and other federal agencies. This is the Cellular Analysis Survey Team. What
is that number?
It is field assets.
What
headquarters?
Okay, but I can't read that. What is SE? Is that what it says? SE?
Yes, I assume that. Is there any Oh yeah, there is repetition. Wait.
No.
Is this the agent's initials or something? Oh no, Los Angeles FBI office. That's so I'm so lame.
Wait, no, it couldn't
San Francisco office.
That's not where Seattle is though, right? No.
Yes, this is San Francisco.
No, I'm saying Seattle, SE. Is that what is that? What are those letters? I cannot read them.
So this is saying that there is a cellular analysis agent in this area that rolls up to the Seattle field office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. It's pretty near Moscow. It's like Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Process takes 18 to 24 months. Oh no, that's to get authorized. So apparently the cast agent takes 500 hours.
500 hours of what?
Training.
What does that equate to?
Oh, I don't know. So 480 is what? 10 20 days. So, right?
Well, if you take 500 and divide it
24. That's how many days total.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't spend 24 hours. That's 20.83.
Okay, then do 500 divided by 8, which I don't think any Fed is working an 8-hour workday, though. They're
62 days. So that'd probably be like 2 months to 3 months of training. It doesn't seem long enough, but
it doesn't, but
10 to 12 weeks. It looks like from our chat too.
Now you can tell this is old information, you guys. That's why we want to be wary of it, because time matters when it comes to cellular data. This has Sprint. Sprint is gone. Gone. There is no more Sprint.
It's T-Mobile now.
Well, no. Sprint got split up into multiple carriers.
What? I thought it just merged with T-Mobile.
So I'm not referring to the company. I'm referring to the network. Sprint's network, the majority of it went to T-Mobile, but in order for the feds to sign off on the agreement, they had to give some of their network to all carriers to try and make it more
fair.
Yeah.
Not a monopoly.
So the Sprint network, not company, but the Sprint network was split up. Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny they did that to make it not a monopoly, yet like there is a monopoly.
Yeah, but to be fair here, okay, because one of the major Fed issues with the fact that these two companies were merging was that the rates would increase. You know, since this merge has happened, the rates have decreased significantly. And everyone in the chat, hold me to it, guaranteed that your cell phone bills are at an all-time low. Guaranteed.
If they're not, should you renew your contract?
It just doesn't work like that anymore.
It doesn't?
No, everything is a flat rate in all cellular networks. It's a flat rate. Now, when it comes to at-home internet stuff, like whatever network you're using. I mean, there's Dish, there's open source network, there is data connected networks, there's all kinds of stuff. And all of those run based off data packages. But when you're talking about cellular networks, it is an all-time low.
Interesting.
Oh, I have a question from somebody. Hang on. I think I took a picture of it. So they asked specifically, and this is a really good question. So they said, okay, so I think they copied and pasted this. It says your 3G CDMA lines of service will be canceled on January 30th, 2024. You can still upgrade your device after your 3G CDMA line of service has been suspended. So remember we talked about the 3G network going under in 2022?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the comment that we just had right now talking about Sprint's network, right?
Yeah.
And that when that deal happened, Sprint had to split up some of their coverage to different areas, right? Well, Sprint, US Cellular, and Verizon were CDMA networks. AT&T and T-Mobile are GSM networks. GSM is what the rest of the world uses, but those CDMA networks were different. Now, that is US Cellular. US Cellular is the only one, and they are different than every other carrier. They aren't even considered one of the top carriers in the nation. they got some of Sprint's network, and because it would have impacted their subscriber base, they delayed shutting off their 3G networks. However, if you want to, can you pull it up? Just search, when did AT&T shut off their 3G network? Actually, I probably need to pull it up so I can verify it with everyone. Hang on. I bet you it's going to be early 2022.
It is. It's February 22nd of 2022.
Yep, I knew it.
All twos, you guys. So weird.
Yeah.
It's literally 2/22/2022. Like, that is the date 3G got shut down by AT&T.
That's super funny.
Dude, so weird. I remember Singular, the company, too.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
That was the first cell phone carrier I had, was Singular.
Let me stop screen share. And
that became AT&T, right? Singular merge, or yeah, I think it became AT&T. Pretty sure, but I don't know. Okay,
3G shutdown, you guys. AT&T officially shut down its 3G network on February 22nd of 2022.
And that is the service provider that Bryan Kohberger had.
Correct. That's correct. Yep.
Yes.
Dish never. So the shutdown I was talking about yesterday with 3G being turned off, that was the federal requirement for the 3G network shutdown. US Cellular, I believe, got to push it out more because it would have impacted their company going under. So Dish never ran a 3G network. Sprint 3G network, with which boosts shares, officially shut down on May 31st, 2022. T-Mobile's 3G network will shut down on July 1st, 2022. But its 2G network will stay alive in an extremely limited way. So that's probably confusing for people. It is the so they adopted some of their 2G into 5G. US Cellular says it will be the last carrier to shut down 3G. Probably means 2023 or 2024. Verizon's 3G network will shut down by December 31st of 2022.
And really, the AT&T is the one we're looking at here, you guys, because that is Bryan Kohberger's cell phone carrier. That's what matters in the Idaho 4 case. All the others don't really matter, but it is, yeah, it is essentially what you said it was.
Hang on here.
So that means there's only 4G and 5G, and the range is going to be pretty small.
Are they really trying to suggest this is a cell phone tower?
What? The gravestone? No.
Yeah. Examples of cell phone towers disguised to blend into the landscape.
A gravestone?
Super weird. I don't know. That's super strange, though. Like, really strange.
Why? Why would you do that? I like the cactus ones.
I know. What? These are real cactuses. That's not how the cactus ones look.
Well, maybe they're just giving examples.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's not legit cell towers. They're just giving examples of like ways cell phone towers could be disguised.
Maybe.
Meaning, you guys, I bet you Moscow, Idaho has like 20 cell phone towers. We just can't tell because they're real trees.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
With this alibi, listen, we're not going into this because of what, you know, the drama or anything like that. I decided to go back into this in this way when some of our viewers last night were asking, like, they wanted actual geographical layouts of the cell towers in the Moscow area. So I thought it was really important to first understand why. You can go on Google and search, hey, how far do cell phone towers go? And Google's going to pop up and say, hey, 50 miles, 150 miles, you know, and that's not the case. That is not true. That is impossible. You can no longer go that distance with the current networks. And I wanted to be able to explain and share with everyone why that's not true. So I thought it was important that we went into this, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot to understand. There's a lot of nuances when it comes to this technology, clearly. Like, you can't just get a base understanding and know what you're talking about at all. Like, you have to dig in fully, or else you're going to miss things. And I guarantee you, experts in this field are constantly having, I mean, there's no doubt about that. They're constantly having to learn. It is evolving constantly. There's always new things to learn about it.
All right. Yes, yes, yes. Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Okay, so I don't even know if we should go into this page with the technology type, because again, I think it's going to confuse people. You don't have 5G on here. This is gone. 2.5 is not gone, but
okay, but in 2022, just remember 2022.
Yeah, but again, in 2022, there is no 2G, 3G.
Right.
Even in 2022, a lot of the remaining 2.4 2.5 has been transitioned into like 5G networks, so you're not going to get the same kind of range.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I can explain to everyone. So how the 5G network works by using 2G is it's multiple frequencies at one time. You have one frequency that is layered for speeds and another frequency that is layered for reliability, because that 2 dot is reliable and 5 is faster, just to put it as simple as possible. All right, so let's get into this here. Historical cell site analysis. Do you want to read this real quick so I can use the restroom?
Yeah, what? So just this page, the tips?
So somebody put forward a request. Somebody put forward a request that I no longer read any document that has LATA in it.
LATA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of that. So.
Okay.
This doesn't have that in there, but I'm just saying.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't think LATA is in this document. Okay. What does the G stand for? Where was there a G? I didn't see a G, you guys. Was it up here somewhere? Okay, never mind. We'll just read. I'm getting distracted. Okay. Cellular analysis tips. 1. Determine the phone company and portability issues of the target phone. 2. What services does the company offer? 3. Are location-based services, in parentheses, LBS, triangulation, GPS/ping, PCMD, true call, or timing advance available? You guys, we gotta wait for Brendan to explain what the heck all those are. I only know what, I think 3 of them are. 4. Obtain necessary legal process. 5. Use mapping program to map relevant locations and cell towers. Review the records in Excel or other tools to verify you received what you requested. In parentheses, date, phone, and that you received cell phone records with tower information. 6. Look for last call at night, first call in the morning, as well as the most frequently used cell sites and most frequently called phone numbers. 7. Determine the cell sector pertinent to your investigation. 8. Look for other involved subscribers, in parentheses, calling or called or calling, that are in the same geographical location for possible leads. 10. Review additional case information for leads in the area. So what services the company offers clearly matters a lot. So what are all of these right here? And thank you, Shaggy, for gifting the membership and hooking somebody up. We really appreciate that. Okay, so you should probably take that off so everybody can. Oh wait,
take what?
Is it off? I just want everybody to be able to see the document. Okay, so it says, are location-based services available? And it says so LBS is location services. So triangulation, GPS/ping, which you mentioned that GPS is pings.
I mean, there's also pings.
I didn't realize that.
That's what I was saying last night, that GPS has traditionally been pings have been inherently connected to GPS.
You don't have to explain it again. I was just saying I didn't realize that before you explained it last night. So triangulation, GPS, what is PCMD? Or true?
Where do you see that?
What? It says location-based services. There's triangulation, GPS, PCMD, true call, or timing advance. What are those last three?
Let's look it up.
So yeah, I only knew two.
That's not a term, PCMD, that I'm familiar with.
It's location-based service.
Yeah, I'm assuming it is part of a specific service, and I don't know these specific services. So why I might not know this, you guys, is there's going to be information in here that is connected with specific companies. I'm not going to know what that is. One of them that I know of is AT&T's location services.
It's per call measurement data.
Per call measurement data.
And it's with all carriers. Here, I found a document.
No, it's not. It's with CDMA network.
Okay, yeah, it does. CDMA is primarily used in the United States, while GSM is used in the rest of the world.
Yeah. So it is
typically, I guess.
So it's just okay. Do you guys remember do you know voiceover? Do you guys remember voiceover and how some carriers allowed you to use data while you could use voiceover? Like you could be on a call and use your data. Do you remember those days when that wasn't a thing? You either had to make a call or you had to be online.
Okay.
Yeah. So with CDMA networks, that per call data is the device connecting with the tower for whatever data usages that you're using, whether it's a phone or whether it's on the internet. And CDMA was not able to use voiceover or VoIP. Thank you. Was not able to use voiceover data because of how CDMA functions. Now, they have changed things to where they're able to now by multiple antennas and phones and layered data. But traditionally they didn't. And this is one of those things that, remember, this report is from 2019.
Okay.
2019, where they were still depending on 2G and 3G data. So I'm assuming this is null and void now, the per call measurement, because I'm also assuming that this is when the phone would have been connected to one tower, not all towers.
Okay.
You know?
It says a more, do you want to see this?
I understand what it is, but you can read it if you want.
A more accurate way to determine a location of a mobile device is per call measurement data. Is this like what was being talked about? Like the call, the CDR or whatever?
Probably.
Where
so you're talking about in the video or whatever, where they were talking about how one tower is more effective than multiple towers. It is probably this technology they're talking about.
It doesn't mention that in here. It says a feature built into the equipment of some of the largest cellular service providers using CDMA technology. It was developed to aid in improving cellular services in particular area. It can measure the time it takes a signal to leave a cellular handset and return back to the tower. It is this information which can provide previously unavailable information regarding the location of a particular handset.
Yeah.
PCMD is captured not only for every phone call, but also every text message and data event. PCMD is captured anytime there is a connection or data event between the cell site and the mobile device. Because the speed of a cellular signal is a known constant, it is possible to calculate the distance the handset is from the tower by measuring the time it takes for the signal to take a round trip. When combined with the cell sector information, there is now an opportunity to gauge how far away the handset is from the cell tower. So this is literally what we've been talking about the whole time.
Yeah.
It's PCMD. It is RTT and that whole measurement.
I think this is what people are getting confused with, because that's not how it works anymore.
What?
This is when the phone was connected to one tower. Not all towers, with multiple antennas, layered frequencies, and 5G network. 5G, you guys, has literally changed the scape of the entire world. Okay. It has changed everything when it comes to the network. So 2G and 3G, I don't know if you guys remember, but on your phones, you used to see in the top, it would say 2G or 3G. And I think it does something similar to that now. This is from
2018. This document's from 2018.
Yeah. Like the tower type, what antenna you're connected to, how far it goes. And you would have been connected to one tower, one. So like driving down the road, your phone would be like, oh, this tower's closer, ping. And then you would keep driving. Oh, this tower's closer, ding, and keep driving. And it's not like that anymore. It is not like that anymore. Since 3G has shut down, 5G has turned on. We now are connected to multiple towers at multiple times.
Okay.
Or multiple towers at every given time.
At any given time.
Given time.
Yeah.
Yes. I need some more caffeine.
So one thing that I heard being argued is that the maps, which I'm sure you'll get into with this CAS report, that the maps that they have to draft, because we talked about this before.
Yep.
When the FBI cast is, CAS team, when they're doing their analysis, they have to make their own map.
Correct.
They don't get to access the cellular provider's map and all their data like that, right?
No. They do get to access the cellular provider's map. They just aren't allowed to use that in court. So they get the data points from a cellular provider, or it doesn't even have to be cellular. It's any network provider. In this case, it's cellular. But they get the network connectivity map, that RTT time or whatever, and they plot it on their map, and then they go out and they create their own diagram based off real life numbers that they're getting from their devices.
Okay, because I heard that being argued that them making their own propagation maps, I think is the word for it, that it's impossible for them to be accurate.
So, okay. This is where a difference in definition of accuracy comes in. Okay. What do you, I'm talking to you right there. What do you consider accurate? Because is 5 feet accurate? Is 12 inches accurate? Is being able to determine that a person is in a house accurate?
Oh, that's accurate enough for me.
I agree. I think that as long as they're able to determine a general location, that is accurate enough for me personally. You know, and in this case,
like
we're
within
talking about large areas,
within like a yard, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yard by a yard, like, yeah.
I
don't know. Like, as long as it's within like 3 feet, I guess it's accurate enough. Honestly, it could be bigger than that. It could just be like the size of a house.
Yeah, I agree. I would even be okay with 100 feet. Within 100 feet, but that is going to change depending on the investigation or the case, or what the needs are of a case.
That's a good point.
In some cases, this might not be enough. It might not be accurate enough. In other cases, it might be. But what's interesting here is like why this science is important is because the most commonly used science is geo-blended data. Geo-blended data has included and will continue to include historical cell site data. Now, when you say historical cell site data, you're talking about the data and connections, the historical valuations of that cellular site, okay? And then you get the data connection, which includes like the strength, the RTT, all of that. So network carriers can pick a tower, okay, whatever their tower is, they can pick a tower. They can see every device that is connected to that tower. They can tell you how strong the connection is. They can tell you if something's wrong with the device that's connecting to the tower. They can tell you if something's wrong with the tower. They can tell if the towers are overloaded. So like in all networks, okay, I'm including internet providers and everything. They have these giant rooms, you guys, that let's say it's the Western Seaboard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, AT&T will have an office where they're covering the entire Western Seaboard, and in that office, they will have huge screens up, and it will show all these towers, and a group of towers will roll up to one person. It is that one person's job to watch these towers and watch for issues. And if there's an issue, that person, you know, will troubleshoot and do what they got to do to make sure that the subscribers are not impacted.
Okay. It's interesting.
I think it's interesting. I think that I think it's incredible science. Hang on here.
What?
Oh, nothing. I was just testing. Okay, so
is there anything you wanted to point out on this page?
No, not yet. There's other more important things. So, okay, 5 steps for success. Switch, repull, network element name, cell number. Wait, can you guys see? Okay, yeah.
Is there a new document, you guys?
Number 4, filter call detail record by date and identify the tower. So,
if there, I'll look up the new doc. If there is one, we'll read it after this.
Okay.
If we have time.
So, when we're talking about call detail records, I will be the first one to tell you that that is not reliable enough. It is not reliable enough. And I'll give everyone an example of what that looks like.
What? Did you go through all those steps?
What?
All those steps?
I just said set up the tower, import tower list into mapping program, plot address from crime, filter data record on your map, locate the tower sector used during the time of the crime, and draw sector coverage area based on the orientation. What do we need for CAS? The date and time of the crime, location of the crime scene, call detail records, tower lists for cellular service provider. They take that, input that into the CastViz system. I don't even think they use CastViz anymore, but I could be wrong. Maps and analysis created by CastViz should not be taken to court without being validated for accuracy. That's interesting. CastViz has the ability to quickly plot call detail records and tower data for lead generation and investigative purposes. Okay. Once you download CastViz, open the program and click on the help at the bottom right to access the CastViz guide. Please review this guide before contacting CastViz at fbi.gov. And this gives you a breakdown of CastViz and what it is, okay? So it looks like it'll give you a list of towers, the call detail records, per call measurement data, which is the RTT time. Oh, that's what we just talked about. So there's no way that this looks like this now. Okay. Historical CDR. Network element name, mobile directory number, dial digit number, call direction, seizure time, seizure duration, cell site 374, cell face 374, last call cell face 3.
Okay, what is that? Like,
so
that's the
it's
call
just
data
the measurement
records.
of the RTT. So if you have a tower, right?
Yeah, but that's the call data records, right?
Yes. Look. CDR, calling number, called number, dial digits, mobile role, start date and time, end date and time, duration of the call, voice, any ID, first call, last cell. This gives you, sorry about that, guys. This gives you a breakdown of the RTT time from the distance of the map. So when we're talking about one tower, and you guys, I don't know if you remember, but I've said from the very beginning, one tower is not enough. It will never be enough. You will never have an efficient enough pinpoint on a map with one tower. You need multiple towers. Towers, lat launch, then it gives a breakdown.
This is essentially what Andrea Burkhart was describing and what she said she believed they were doing in the PCA, which was...
This is what they were doing in the PCA.
It was one tower, and it was only showing him like moving pretty much in a very, very general area. And then they chose to draw that line on a map, like, you know, because it follows the trajectory, but there is no precision there.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. We know that because Moscow doesn't have enough towers to use a triangulation method. Yes.
So they're not using triangulation. They're using
triangulation methods with only one tower, which isn't enough to give a precise enough location.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like this is a great example right here. Okay. This is the tower. This is the crime scene. And this, you guys, this blue box, this is one of the 3 sectors of the tower. So if they added the other amount, you would have another line here. This would be one, and this would be one. So what they're measuring is how quick this data went to here and back, Okay. So this, in my opinion, is not enough to take to court. 1 is not enough. It is not. You need at least 4, which is what we've talked about over and over and over and over and over again. You need 3 to triangulate down to a reasonable enough precision, and then a 4th to quality control.
So how deep were you planning on getting into this? Because, you know, I think it's pretty obvious in this case that this isn't what's going to be used to defend Bryan Kohberger.
I mean, we don't know that.
You really think Cyray is going to bring cellular analysis to defend him?
No, not to defend him. But if he's smart, if I was the expert, if they hired me as the expert, I would bring up the cellular data to prove how unreliable it is in Moscow. But in order to prove how unreliable it is, you first have to prove its reliability in an area that has multiple towers. Because if you can prove that cell phone triangulation is really reliable when you have multiple towers, like the YNW Melly case, where they were literally able to look at him walking around a car, using cell phone triangulation, then all you have to do is put up a map of a metro area cell tower coverage and Moscow's cell tower coverage. And just by looking at how few towers are there, they could not have determined where his drive was based on the towers that are there. So if I was the expert, I absolutely would bring that up. And then I would say, okay, now I'm going to use the prosecution's cell tower data information from their cast report. And then I am going to use back geo-blended data and fog data style sciences to then confirm that, yes, he was connected to this tower, but not in the area that you're claiming he was. He was over here. So your evidence is actually helping defend the defendant, not convict him. So yeah, I do see benefit in it. Absolutely. You know, a science isn't unreliable because you need a certain amount of data to get precision. It's still reliable. You know, what makes a science reliable is if it's repeatable.
Right.
This is repeatable science and data. So it is reliable, but is there enough towers to give a precise location?
Yeah,
you know?
Right. YMW Melly does have the newest tech, but also a ton of towers. Like, it's very dense coverage where YMW Melly was.
It is very dense.
Yeah, it was very dense. And you know, another case, Audrey Cunningham in Livingston, Texas. She was abducted and tragically murdered by you know, that Nazi guy that lived in her backyard. It's just a horrible, disgusting case. It hurts my heart. But that is how they tracked him down. And we looked up the tower coverage in that area, and it is also very dense tower coverage. Because I think Livingston's right out of, like, is it Austin?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Austin. I believe it's Austin. It's like northeast of Austin. And we looked up the tower coverage, and yes, it was extensive. Like, there was a lot. It was very dense coverage. Probably not as dense as where YNW Melly was, but still very dense. And they tracked exactly where he went.
Okay.
Right up to that little water area. I don't know. I don't remember if it was a lake. It was a body of water. And yeah, that's where they found her journal and, you know, various pieces of evidence until they got her out with, what is it called? In the water, you know, when they look under the water. But that was one case that I saw on another channel comparing it to this Idaho 4 case, saying that they would be able to track Bryan Kohberger just like they tracked Audrey Cunningham's killer. And it's not even comparable whatsoever. And it's not because of, like, the newest tech. It's simply because there isn't enough towers in Moscow.
Yep, exactly.
Because it is all the newest tech. Like, it is 5G and 4G. It's just they lack the tower coverage.
Okay, now the drive testing. This is a big point of contention.
Really important.
Yeah. So drive testing, or conducting a tower survey, is the process of taking measurements from various cell towers and illustrating the radio frequency footprint. Drive testing provides the most accurate illustration of a cell tower's footprint. The method is used by all major cell providers to optimize their network. The survey equipment may consist of engineering phones or a scanner. And this is where there's an in-person element, right? So we see up here, this is the tower, this is the crime, and they're tracking the RTT from the tower to the phone and back, the round trip time. Then once they have that data, they send somebody out, and this is their route to gauge the strength of it. Green line indicates where the test equipment was in relation to the tower. So this person took their test equipment and drove all around here, all over, all these squiggles, right? Most heavily around the house. Then see where the crime scene is right there?
Yeah.
Then they're able to tell the reliability of the connection in that area. Again, one tower is not enough, but using one tower as an example, we're able to see how effective it can be, right? Because with one tower, you could be anywhere in this range right here, you guys. Can you see my mouse? Yeah, you can. Okay, anywhere in this range right here, which, look, if this is a smaller tower, they're in one of the sectors here, and then the range, and it could be anywhere on this street. Let's see. Look at all these streets. So one block area, so we're looking at, like, I don't know, how many houses are in this little area right here? It looks like at least 20, right? And I have no idea how far it goes out. This could be the sector. It could include all of this right here. And that's not reliable. One is not reliable. Plotting cell towers. Do you want to post a poll and see if anybody has any questions, and we'll try and stay up on it? Are you on?
Don't you have a poll?
Or not a poll, I'm sorry.
Oh, a Q&A?
Yep.
Yeah, I can launch a Q&A.
It's easier if you go like this.
I guess I should have been doing that this whole time. Okay.
Okay.
So what?
Just questions in regards to this. Okay, so these are the 3 sections, right, you guys? And for anyone that's been watching us every night, I apologize if this tower talk gets repetitive. A lot of people ask for it, so we try and cover things that you guys want to watch. So if there's something different that you guys would like us to cover, by all means, shoot it in the comments. That's where we read it, is under the comments in Sherlock Kendra, I answered your question earlier, by the way, about the 3G turnoff. So I don't know if you were in here then. Okay, so these are the different sectors, 1, 2, 3, and clearly they're naming them, you know, alpha, beta, gamma, which is fine. We haven't gone over the new doc yet, but we will. We absolutely will. And on each one of these, what's next? Okay. On each one of these sectors, you guys, we know for 100% certainty when a phone is connected to that sector, because these are directional antennas, meaning when an antenna is, can you guys see my mouse still? Yeah. Okay. When an antenna is pointing out this way, it cannot offer coverage back here. It can only offer coverage out here.
Okay. Is this good?
Yeah. Orientation. Okay, so we got that part. Good, good, good. Plotting the cell towers. Gotcha, right? We just went over that. Okay. So this is great right here. Where triangulation could come into play is being able to see the connection here to here and here to here. So that would give you a more, oh wait, the scene is over here, but the alibi, oh, okay, so this is in response to the alibi. Gotcha. So they could confirm the alibi, whereas you see how this homicide is outside of this tower right here? So yeah, this tower goes up, the homicide's here. So if this person who's giving this alibi is connected to this side of the tower in this sector, it would be impossible for them to be over here in this alibi. I even think this one might, it's right on the line. So that's how you can place where you're at, right? And in this situation, you guys, right here, a very detailed location is not needed. It's not needed. All they're trying to do is prove that the suspect was in a different area.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, that's interesting. I think that, I mean, it makes me wonder if that could come into play here, if he is connected to any of the towers south of Pullman.
Yeah.
Now, I don't recall the tower coverage over near Wawa Way. Now, we know that there's not good tower coverage over there. But
like I said,
is it possible he could have connected in a sector pointing south of Pullman, backing up his alibi? Or even that Blaine Tower. Hold on. I want to pull up the map.
Exactly, though. That's exactly right. What you're talking about is you don't need it to be exact in pinpoint. You need to be able to prove that, you know, you could be in this area or not be in a area.
Right.
Okay, so cell site databases. This is more about geo-blended data. These are some of the resources they use: Google, Accurate, Clear, Locate, Reverse Phone Directory, and Phone Finder. All right, mapping in Google Earth. Because remember, CAST uses everything. They use geo-blended data.
Okay.
Yeah, the ruler can be used. Gotcha. This will give you the map of coverage. Okay, let me go past this. Get back down to the carriers here, since I believe that's what we're going to see the most of. Okay, this one is good. So you see how it's mapping these towers? Mm-hmm. They're gonna use a multitude of supporting evidence. So they are going to give you a tower triangulation, and then they're going to be able to use things like Google Earth to support their evidence, to say, look, not only do we have the triangulation of a phone in this area, but we also have evidence using Google Earth showing that, you know, the GPS is also supporting this.
Right.
All right. So it looks
unless it's not available.
Yep. So it looks like this is giving the breakdown. So AT&T is the important part, right?
Yep.
Generates location event data via probes on the mobile network. Use cautiously. AT&T does not validate results. I mean, none of them are going to. AT&T messaging results can get content and photos if subscriber has this feature turned on. Mobile locate. Triangulated coordinates of device based on timing advanced or time of arrival, the RTT time. And if suspected radius emailed every 15 to 30 minutes. 15 to 30 minutes. What are you doing?
I wanted to see the area. But go ahead. I'm listening.
So 15 to 30 minutes. Use event-based mobile locate.
So it's sending something out every 15.
It's saving the data every 15 to 30 minutes. So, and if suspected radius, emailed every 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
T-Mobile and AT&T offer law enforcement triangulation service as part of their enhanced 911 capabilities. Both services are considered network solutions and perform the same function. AT&T offers mobile locator tools. Triangulation is the network's ability to utilize the timing advanced or time of arrival, or RTT, positioning mechanism. TOA positioning method is based on measuring the time of arrival or timing advanced of a known signal sent from the cell phone and received at 3 or more measurement units towers.
So
received at 3 or more towers, which is what
they're
why
lacking.
that single tower data source is no longer, that doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it was never reliable is what it sounds like. But that's interesting that AT&T literally offers a law enforcement triangulation service.
Yeah, for 911 calling. Yeah.
Yeah, but do they do that for warrants? Or is that would still then be available if they got a warrant?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is using RTT science. So look, if RTT wasn't reliable, why are they using it on 911?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The 911 has to be reliable.
Yeah. You would hope so. You would really hope so. That would be terrible. You know, it's pretty reliable in my experience. So not that long ago, like I think it was 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, I accidentally called 911 because you know how the phone has the emergency SOS thing?
Yeah.
Well, the buttons got stuck somehow in it was somehow in my purse or something with the phone case. Like something happened where it got stuck and it called 911 with that emergency, like, but the button function thing that it does.
Yep.
Well, I heard it calling and I hung up really quick. And I was like, oh my gosh, cops literally came knocking to the front door.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
The front door. Like they knew exactly where it came from.
Yep, yep. And here's my thing, because I see people asking, this is real time though. Yes, but where do you think this real time data goes?
It's saved.
It's saved.
Yeah.
So if they know where you are in real time, then they know where you were at that time. At that time. Do you guys follow me? Do you get what I'm saying here? If they know where this phone was at a latitude of 39.75 and change and a longitude of negative 75.473 with a certain amount of uncertainty meters, and let's say they knew this at 12 p.m. today, then tomorrow they're still going to know that this phone was in this area at that time, latitude and longitude, all the same. If this data can locate you in real time, then it can be reread in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 months, in a year.
Well, yeah, that was one thing that was being argued, is that it's only saved for a couple of weeks.
So it depends on the company, but sometimes, yeah, that is true. Yep, it is for some.
Yeah, and I know that we have a few questions about the differences between Murdaugh, YNW Melly, and this case. I saw TC asking a few times in a few different ways. Like, so, you know, Murdaugh was a rural area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they ended up getting location data on him.
Yep.
Even though there wasn't a ton of cell towers.
Yep.
So how did they do that?
So geo-blended data services. They ended up using background application data.
GPS.
Well, geo-blended data services. So it's not that simple as GPS. And here's the reason. When CAS goes to court to bring their evidence to court, using one piece of supporting evidence is not enough. You're not going to see them come forward and say, hey, jury, this phone was in this area because the GPS chip says it was. No, you're going to hear them say, this phone was in this area confirmed by the GPS data that was offered by Google Earth, that was confirmed by the cell tower data and RTT time, the round trip time, by the cellular network tower. Also, we have confirmation that this device was communicating with the router in this home to further confirm it. Like they are going to bring supporting evidence for all of it.
So that's what's important when it comes to this location data and the cast analysis nowadays, is that they are confirming their own calculations with other evidence. Correct. Other connections that the phone was making at the same time. So it's GPS and cell towers and connections with anything else and application data. It's all of it together, confirming each one or narrowing it more.
Yes.
Which is what we have thought this entire time. This case
did we shout
needs out? It needs that. No, we did not.
Okay, I apologize. Welcome, nurse. We are super happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, Nurse DD.
Hopefully you're having a good time hanging out with
us.
I
did shout out Shaggy, but I didn't see Nurse DD. I apologize.
Okay, I have been. Hang on here. Okay, let's see. All right.
You know, it's
oh, and Plain Iron became a new member. Awesome. Welcome. We're super happy to have you here. I was just gifting a membership because we've been trying to match people as they come, so more people can join the members live. And for everyone watching too, I do just want to make a statement that, remember, our schedule is all over the place right now because we are working on moving the studio and having an official news location studio, which we're going to be going to. So things are just hectic, and I'm sorry that we aren't following our normal schedule that we were at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, but we are absolutely getting back to that. Right now, things are just so hectic, you guys. I don't have time to do any research or anything because, again, I work a full-time job and then we do this at night, but I got to have time to do all that. And right now, any extra time that I have or we have is getting the new location set up. So, oh, came in with a $20 super chat. That is incredible. I was a member, now back again. Great work, youngins. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you are back. And hopefully, I don't know why you left. Hopefully it wasn't anything we did, but we're super happy to have you back here, and we appreciate all of you. And just as a reminder, everyone, please hit that thumbs up button, hit those 3 stars, hit those 5 stars, and for all the hundreds of people in the other platforms, if you want to be engaged in the chat, like you see us communicating and doing the Q&A and doing the polls, that is on YouTube. So for any of our international viewers, you've got to go to youtube.com and search Thought Riot Podcast, and you'll be able to find this live and with a hustling, bustling chat going on here. And we love it. So just keep doing you guys, and we appreciate all of you. Yeah. So, okay, question. How come they can pinpoint, Alex phone or the Daybell property? So do you remember in the Alex Murdaugh trial, they were talking about the whole, why did this cop turn the phone off and put it in the Faraday bag? Do you remember that?
I think so, but I don't know. It's been a while, so I don't remember every detail.
Okay, so I need to go back and watch that again, but because I believe that when you turn a phone off, it automatically wipes a lot of the background application data that would have been saved on there otherwise. And I think that's what the big concern was, because the law enforcement officer picked up the phone that people believe Alex threw out while driving, right? They were able to locate it from its location services. They turned it off, or they didn't turn it off. They put it in a Faraday bag, which disconnected it from the network and made all the background application data wipe itself. Well, they still use that data, you guys. So I believe that they used geo-blended data services. And remember, when you're talking to a jury, right? Part of the reason that we try and simplify everything as much as possible on here is because, look, we aren't actually in college. We aren't actually learning this stuff. I'm not here getting paid to teach people. You've people that don't have a lot of network knowledge. You've got to find that in between for people to relate, right? Otherwise, I mean, sure, I could pull up the science documents and go as hard as I could talking about that, but everyone would be like, wait, what? What is this dude even talking about?
I mean, even going in as far as we have tonight, there's been people who have said they're leaving because they don't want to listen to it because it's just too much. It's just too much for some people. And I don't, come catch us another show. I understand. Not everyone signs up for that, but I do feel like it's really important to put things in simple, plain terms. Like, okay, the other night when we were playing Andrea Burkhart and she was talking about Psi-Ray science, you know how many people I saw commenting that, okay, she lost me.
Yeah.
Like when she went into all those technicalities, because the majority of people are not going to be science experts, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to know all those big words and all of that. We're all here to expand our knowledge, and putting it in layman's terms when that's not your specialty. You're probably a nurse and that's your specialty, or you're some other thing and that's your specialty, and all the big fancy words in that area.
Yeah.
But when it comes, we can only be experts at so many things. So putting it in layman's terms,
like being called an expert, but I'm tracking you. I agree.
Right. Yeah. We don't like the term expert here. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
learned knowledge.
Yeah. You can only master so many trades. Yeah. Or else you're just a jack of all trades, master at none.
Yeah.
You know a little bit about everything.
Yeah.
So putting it in layman's terms for people who are not in a college course or FBI CAS training when it comes to these things, I think that's necessary for people to be able to follow and understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And for a jury, you got to find that middle ground.
A jury is going to be that way. They are not cellular experts. They're not DNA experts. They're not they are not experts on any of the forensic science. And we are just like them. We are them. We are the jurors. You know what I mean? We're the public. So
no, I agree.
Being able to break this stuff down into digestible bits matters. And I hope that whatever experts come up there can do that, or else the jury's just going to be lost.
Yeah, I saw some people asking why a Faraday bag could wipe that data. So I'm totally speculating here because I don't remember. I need to look at that video again, but I don't remember what service they had, and I don't remember what data source they were depending on. But as long as the device stayed connected, it was able. Maybe there was an app open that was connected with the network and able to track historical GPS data. And so that apps aren't wasting all of their storage. Most of them have coding in them that when you close that app, it wipes that, right? Because good apps, reliable apps, healthy apps that people can trust in don't need to save your location services. It just, everything that's saved takes up storage, right? So when that was put in the Faraday bag, it effectively turned off the app because it had no more network connection. And I'm guessing here, okay? I'm totally speculating without clarifying my memory because I don't remember the exact details, but this could be an example of that situation. All right, let's see here. Tower dump example. I'm a little confused at this one. Do you understand? Events must be separated by enough distance to make a tower dump effective.
Yeah.
Tower dumps can be uploaded and analyzed in
Because if it's overloaded with too many devices and too much data, like say you're in a city where there's a concert, okay, one of the biggest concerts ever, and there's just thousands of people. Okay, my mind goes back to San Francisco on 420. When there's concerts everywhere,
for sure,
there's literally thousands of people all over the streets. Like you can barely walk around San Francisco during 420, and literally the whole skyline is a poof of smoke.
Right.
Like there's just a cloud of smoke over the whole city. So,
like, it's the whole city loaded.
Yeah, the whole city's loaded for real. Joking. Well, okay. So I imagine that scenario because that's one of the most stressful scenarios of my entire life is being stuck in San Francisco in 420 and not being able to get out of the city. So that I would imagine or a protest, think January 6th, maybe.
What does that do with helping us understand this screen?
Well, doesn't that have to do with this? So like if there's too many towers, or I mean, not too many towers, too many devices overloading the tower won't be able to locate people effectively because it's not connecting to people's phones effectively.
I don't know what I'm looking.
It's showing a concentration of.
Yeah. I hear you. But what I'm saying is I don't know what each of these mean, what the blue dot means, what the yellow dot means, what the red triangle means. Is the red triangle a cell tower and the blue dot is boosters and the yellow dot is a different carrier's tower or something? I don't know. I was just trying to understand that.
Oh, like, okay.
Do you? I don't.
The differences between the dots?
Yeah.
No.
Like, what is this? Okay.
I assumed it was showing devices or events, like it was
I don't
saying.
think devices.
Okay.
It is showing events.
Well,
but
so what is an event?
These events are the what they talked about here with a different location comparable. So I think this was a string of robberies. So this is
these are crimes.
Yes. But how is this map relevant to the string of crimes? It's okay. We'll move on. So tower dump, Castiviz.
There was a narwhal.
There was. Okay, this is important, right? Because we've been wondering how long some of this data is going to be available, right? So we have Sprint here that does not matter anymore. On a tower dump, are they going to get voice data? Yes. Are they going to get text data? No. Are they going to get data? No.
What is data?
You know, downloads, uploads, videos.
So they're only going to get calls.
Yes. Yep. For Sprint. Now, AT&T being a GSM network, they are going to get voice. They are going to get text. They are going to get data. The RTT doesn't matter. Data is available for 60 days. When did they get Bryan Kohberger?
So that's 2 months.
Yep. $45 processing fee and $25 per tower.
Oh my gosh, it just occurred to me. You guys.
What?
AT&T has tracking for law enforcement.
Yeah, it does.
Meaning that's just probably what Payne used is AT&T's own tracking thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably
very
like
likely.
very briefly talked to a CAS agent who helped him even know that AT&T had tracking and what to do with it, and he just basically pulled that map up and was like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
And it gave a general estimate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no drive test. There's no nothing. I mean, that's totally an assumption.
I'm telling you that's what we've thought of from the beginning.
That's not what I thought. I didn't realize that. I didn't even think about AT&T having law enforcement services to help them track people.
Wait.
I didn't think about
You're
that.
talking about the 911. We did know about that because we know that
yeah, but
Payne
I
pulled the tower.
It didn't register for me. That did not register for me personally.
And
that
Bryan Kohberger's phone wasn't there.
Yeah, but he then did it somehow because he tracks him doing that loop.
No. You're thinking of it wrong. He does not track him doing that loop.
Then who did?
That is the science for the triangulation that we've been talking about with the 3 areas. Okay, that's not the 911 GPS tracking.
How do you know?
Because he didn't have enough time to get a warrant. So, okay. When we're reading that, it talks about in there the dates by him calling and getting the data and information of Bryan Kohberger, right? Then it says that the cast agent, I'm going to have to pull it up. I'm probably going to hack it. So I apologize, you guys. But it says that he called the cast report and got a breakdown of the travel of Bryan Kohberger.
A cast agent.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the only way that they would have that is through the RTT tracking time.
Okay.
Which is the cell phone triangulation, which is why there's such a question on where Bryan Kohberger actually was. If they were using the 911 background geo-blended data, you would be seeing different evidence.
What you're saying, the 911 tracking is geo-blended data?
It can't be. Yes.
It can't be.
So geo-blended data is towers. You realize that, right?
I mean, that's one part of it.
Correct. So, but one requires further warrants and details, which wouldn't have been allowed until he was arrested.
Okay, geo-blended data does require further warrants and testing. Correct. So that's not the 911 tracking.
So those pings that you're talking about of the 911 is geo-blended data. That's what it is. It's using a mix between GPS and cell tower RTT time.
Okay.
So he would not have had access to that until after Bryan Kohberger was arrested.
Oh, okay.
Correct. And that drive time was done before, at the same time that he was pulling the warrant for a cell tower dump. He got that dump. They targeted Bryan Kohberger, said Bryan Kohberger's phone wasn't on that tower, and that's why he's guilty, because he turned off his phone. Then we found video of the white Elantra. Then we located the white Elantra. Then we pulled up the cell tower, the historical cell tower data, and they were able to track Bryan Kohberger's whereabouts. But that tracking of the whereabouts is not geo-blended data. That is a singular tower location service.
Okay.
Which gives too many square miles of potentials.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is to get that detailed pings for Bryan Kohberger's phone, he could not get those warrants until after Bryan Kohberger is arrested.
Correct. They would not have issued that. No way.
So then how?
And we're lucky if the cell company even gives you that, like we said.
Okay, but then how does he do that? How does he make that analysis then?
Without geo-blended data, he gets the round trip time. The CSLI data.
How is he coming to any conclusion on Bryan Kohberger's phone if he can't get warrants for Bryan Kohberger's phone?
Because he got a warrant for the tower.
Okay,
not
then
the person.
Okay, but that tower that covers Moscow, Idaho, the 1122 King Road home
Didn't have Bryan. That's why we've had all these questions for all these months, because it didn't have Bryan. And it's weird that Payne came forward and said, see, Bryan's not on this tower. It means he's guilty. Yeah, I know.
So, oh my God, my mind is broken right now.
It just doesn't make sense. It's not making sense because there are major gaps in this investigation. The reason why she's saying 911 is because in here, there is a 911 service on GSM, on AT&T. We'll say it like that. There's a 911 service on AT&T that use a mixture of RTT time, which is cell phone triangulation services, and geo-blended GPS services to give law enforcement or ambulance or fire the exact location of a phone down to, there's room for error, but gives the location of the phone. Now, that warrant wouldn't have been issued and they wouldn't have been allowed to have that data without Bryan Kohberger being arrested already. Because a cop can't just go to court and say, hey, judge, I don't have any evidence on this person, but I need you to issue their cell phone data, their personal subscription that they pay for cell phone data to me, because I just want to check if they could be guilty of a crime. That's not how warrants work. There's got to be reasonable doubt. There's got to be a reasonable amount of evidence for a court to trample private citizens' rights to issue their cell phone data.
So essentially you're saying that they got tower dumps from all of the towers.
No, they only got one.
Well, we don't know that.
I mean,
it's not a fact that they only got a tower dump from one tower.
It says they only got one. They wouldn't use tower dumps on the other ones because a tower dump it doesn't tell you their location. They got Bryan Kohberger's RTT cell tower tracking after he was a suspect, not before.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tower dump happened way before the triangulation and tracking of his drive route.
Okay, but it's in the PCA that they tracked his driving. So
Correct.
How did they do that without him being arrested?
What? Because he was already a suspect.
Okay.
Yeah. So they
could get detailed arrest or not arrest, a detailed warrant.
After they already had enough to arrest him.
Okay, but you said they could only do that after arrest.
Well, okay.
So that's not true.
Yeah. So that's my fault for saying it like that. They would only be able to get it if they had enough to arrest him, not physically have him in cuffs, but enough to arrest him is what I was saying.
Okay.
There has to be a reasonable amount of evidence for the court to trample on a citizen's rights and issue their private information.
That's a per judge basis, and the judge gets to decide how much that is.
But it's
and if
like
they
said,
believe
they can't just go over there and say, "Hey, I need this with no evidence."
I understand that, but if they're like, oh, we have touch DNA, we have his car, we have this and this and this, like what we already know about you guys, I think that they're going to say that is reasonable enough to look. And I don't think that would ever come up later, especially after all this, as like a way for him to appeal anything or anything like that.
But what you're asking is important because the way they tracked him is the major complaint that other content creators are having with this information. It is the cell tower, the CSLI data, and why it's unreliable and why it's going to be brought into question with the alibi, in my opinion, is because they don't have enough towers to give a reliable location. One tower is not enough.
Right. So, see, what I was assuming this whole time was they looked at that one cell tower dump, which I assumed was like Theophilus, okay? right?
Probably, yeah.
And he wasn't on that record. But then when they checked like the other tower going towards down south of Moscow, like those are the towers that they checked once he was a suspect and determined his route.
Yeah. From CSLI data, not geo-blended data. So not using the 911 analysis.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
you're combining those like they're one and the same, and that's, I think, where a lot of people are confused. You need to separate them. Geo-blended is a multiple of data sources coming forward to verify and re-verify a location. They are used together to strengthen the argument that this person was in this area. So the 911 is considered geo-blended data. It's giving a mixture of the RTT time and the GPS location services because neither is reliable alone. But they become more and more reliable with more information.
Right. Yeah.
So through investigation, many different types of identifiers may be obtained apart from the information received in a tower dump. The following are examples of identifiers that you can use CastViz to conduct a common analysis. IP addresses, MAC addresses, serial numbers, advertising ideas. Well, this is great because people wanted to understand metadata. This is how metadata could work. Advertising IDs.
What is an advertising ID?
So like for our show, we use advertising. Thought Riot Podcast uses international advertising services through Google and YouTube. Okay. Every single time my ad is shown to somebody, I know who is watching it. In our ad profile, I can see the person's location, account, and amount of time they watched it, and all of those details. So the advertising IDs, they would be able to have access to those with a proper warrant. But yeah, Google IDs, telephone numbers, IMSIs, ESNs, MEIDs, IMEIs, social security numbers, and data from geofence warrants. That's why on our videos, so one of the things we talked about the other day, like part of the issues that we're having with our channel with all the constant attacking is people are targeting our ads, but I don't know if they understand that I can literally see, you know, the location of who's watching it over and over and over and searching for it. Exigent requests. There are two types. So voluntary disclosure of records, right?
Okay.
Or compelling an exigent response.
What does that mean?
So the pen register statutes,
so
emergency
warrant
provision, yes, allows for compelling records from a provider. It requires approval at the Deputy Assistant Attorney General level or above, which is coordinated through the DOJ Office of Enforcement Operations. It also requires follow-up court order warrant.
Okay, so what are voluntary records?
Somebody saying, here, I give you access to my records.
What? So literally just like if they asked Bryan Kohberger and he was like, here you go. That's all that means?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Then they can use, Cast uses Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you guys, this is supporting additional evidence that we've already talked about with open source.
Okay.
So a lot of people are asking, like, why is Ann Taylor using this guy? Well, he has software that is utilizing open source data. Open source data that allows certain location services, and it allows them certain information on who clicked like, who commented, who did this or who did that. And they're using that to locate people or Bryan Kohberger. All right. Let's see here.
And Google's the next one.
Yep. I mean, Google's going to take over the world. Google will notify users of all requests unless the order is sealed or is a child exploitation order. Apple. Interesting. The feds hate Apple. Hate them. OnStar. Interesting, right? The GPS. Cellular provider information. All right, AT&T. Okay. Major cell phone provider overview. And you know, in one of those videos that people were using as an example, they were talking about the top 5 network providers. This is what used to be. And now I don't think US Cellular is even on that top 5. I think that they've dropped altogether. I think there are other companies that are using like Spectrum and Google and Musk's company that are that have more subscribers than US Cellular, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not really a representative for.
I didn't know
like,
US
cell
Cellular
companies,
was
but-
still around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what does it mean when it says do not rely on the data for testimonies? And I did see a comment earlier. Somebody said it says on the bottom of their phone bill to not rely on the information for geolocation.
Yep.
So what like is that the same thing?
Geolocation?
Yeah, something like that. For locating people.
Well, geolocation is different than what would be like the RTT triangulation.
Okay, but I could be misquoting. Okay.
Okay.
It was something about not locating, like you don't use it for locating people or something.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
hey, Dick Frost, it's good to see you.
Oh, hey.
Dick Frost is also a content creator and is on TikTok, which TikTok might be banned soon from the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Which is something.
Hey, what's going on? Check him out, you guys.
Yeah, he's not I don't think he does true crime though, but his comedy is really funny.
It is
like super funny.
It absolutely
If you need
is.
a good laugh, he's your guy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
But yeah, did you put him up on the screen? Because
I did.
Okay. Yeah, because he's messaging from Twitter right now, or X.
Yep. Check him out, you guys, and hope you're doing good. Hope the family is doing good. All right. So going back in here. So AT&T major cell phone provider overview. Acquired companies and resellers. Cricket, Alltel, 711, Speak Out. These are all part of AT&T. The technology is GSM 2.5. Rarely seen it in most markets. Is the 2.5. So 3G and 4G. Generates location event data via probes on the mobile network. Use cautiously. Does not validate results. AT&T messaging results. Can get content and photos if subscriber has this feature turned on, which is one of the things we've been saying for a very long time, is that a lot of this information is going to be determined based on the settings that the person has turned on.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So interesting for sure. Very, very interesting. Jeez, they're using like 100. What is that? 130. So 320 to 190 or something. It all goes into marketing. All right. Location services. Mobile locate. Triangulated coordinates of device based on timing advance. So essentially RTT is what we've been using for the terminology beforehand. Before now, but TOA is the same as RTT. and suspected radius emailed every 15 to 30 minutes. Emailed every 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
Why does it say emailed?
What? That, like, it's automatically sent to the provider every 15 to 30 minutes. I'm assuming it's talking about that you could have that option turned on to where you get it every 15 to 30 minutes.
Your own location?
Yeah, or any phone on your account. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
What are you talking about? So when you subscribe, you're the owner of that account. That is your data.
I've never heard
it's
of
not
anybody.
AT&T's data, it's yours.
So you could get your own location emailed to you every 15 to 30 seconds or minutes, I mean?
Probably. If that's available, then yes, they have to give you access to it. It might cost extra.
I thought it was just talking about like the tracking.
You know, this is important. So this is what they're talking about right here is AT&T's built-in GPS location services. Now, what's interesting is AT&T, according to what this document said, is the same 911 services that T-Mobile has. And it says 3 to 6 tower triangulation based on RTT or time on arrival. 3 to 6 tower. More towers, more reliable. Provider retention periods. 7 years. Call data records, 7 years. Cell site data, 7 years. SMS data, 7 years. Cell site SMS, 7 years. SMS content, no, they don't save your pictures. Cell site data, 7 years. Tower dumps, 7 years. Geez, so AT&T's is the longest. Prospective mobile locate triangulation and AGPS. RTT, no, but Nelos or Nellos holds it for 90 days. So their triangulation, their cell tower triangulation is held for 90 days.
2 months. Or wait, 3 months.
Yep. Voiceover, yes. Stores video, yes. Stores voicemail, yes. Cloud storage, AMS. Internet browsing, up to 1 year. Preparing the CDR for use in mapping. Import the text file into Excel. Insert a tab after column B. Drag the formula down to the entire spreadsheet. Create tabs for voice. In the voice tab, use text to columns to separate cell location, latitude, longitude, and orientation. Sort in chronological order. Interesting. Okay, let's see here. So mobile virtual network, company that purchases network capacity to offer their own wireless service on a of another telecommunications provider. AT&T. I gotta use the restroom real quick.
Okay. Well, this is just their contact information, right? Is there something you want me to go through?
Yeah. So the voice would no, this isn't important. Per pen. Okay, this is just how they do it. So CAST currently does not testify to the accuracy of NELOs or whatever. So this is really important. I would read this.
Okay.
And I'll be right back. This is This is AT&T specific network element location services.
I'm curious if this has changed them not testifying to the accuracy of it, but it is, yeah, network element location optimization service. GPS observes GPS precision location information supplied by the handset in the course of the user, permitting location services on the device to provide a location. Accuracy rating is 1. Now, this rating, location accuracy, this is the key. Okay. GPS is 1. It's considered likely better than 25 meters. Okay. Is it better? Location accuracy unknown is 0. I'm assuming 1 is better. I'm assuming it's the best. Okay, so FEM2CEL observes device connected to a FEM2CEL, which is programmed to report GPS coordinates periodically to AT&T. Accuracy rating is 2. Timing advance / round trip delay, which I think this is similar to like the RTT that Brennan's been talking about to the tower and back. Generates location record for scenarios where low propagation delay indicates very near presence to a particular cell tower within 200 meters. Accuracy rating is 3 to 12. Signal strength used to estimate location in 2 different ways, but is more vulnerable to error in situations where the user equipment is in proximity of a radio repeater, a body of water, or some other physical obstacle that could impact the signal strength. They don't, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't give a rating, but so is 1 the best? So, location accuracy likely better than 25 meters. Is that
this is pretty much giving in a breakdown of, hang on, I gotta track this. 210. Okay, so so this is basically giving a breakdown of what geo-blended data is. This is geo-blended data right here.
okay?
This is what it is, the geo-blended data.
What is FEM2CEL though? I don't really. Okay, so observes device connected to a FEM2CEL which programmed to report GPS coordinates.
Of FEM2CEL? So that,
it's just
that
weird
is
to me.
signal
Why
boosters? Signal boosters. So it is small cell signal boosters. But here, let me define it.
We have a super chat and actually 2, I guess, when you are done with that. I don't know if it's more than 2 or not. I think it's 2, just 2 right now.
Okay, it doesn't give me the definition of what FEM means, but yes, it is the small cell. So it is what it is
says a small low power cellular base station.
Yeah.
To enhance network coverage.
Right. Yep. That's a mini tower, expander, whatever. So I don't know if you guys know this, but like if you're having cell coverage issues or internet coverage issues, you can get these things that you plug into your home that give you additional coverage.
Yeah, and Brian said, okay, so if he turned all of that off, then nothing? Question mark.
What?
If he turned, I think, are you talking about the settings that Brendan was talking about earlier? Like if you turned off all location services and turned off your phone, then yeah, I think that's what Brendan is saying, is that there is no more tracking.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not going to be reporting to cell towers or anything.
Yes. Correct. Yep.
So Twizzlestick wants you to look at the RTT from where service connects at Wawa Way and then south of Moscow near Blaine and north of Genesee.
Okay. Do you want to save that?
Yeah.
Comment?
Yeah, because I also want you to look up that tower I showed you that where that lady was questioning if it was FCC registered.
I just wanted to go through this first so we can set a baseline. Otherwise, people aren't going to understand it, you know?
Yeah, but
what? But what?
I mean, this is important. We've gone through it before, but it's important.
Not broken it down like this.
What? I thought we did.
No.
We've went through this before.
We haven't. We've only pulled certain pages.
Okay.
We haven't. Nellos. Okay. So call data records. Interesting. Row number, connection date, duration of transaction, number placing the call, number called, international mobile identifier, subscriber identity, call type, transaction type, provides the LAC CID or 4G, also provides the sector orientation and beam width information. Latitude and longitude are provided for the towers at the time the report is generated.
But yeah, I see where you're, okay, so what this is the call detail records,
which is the same thing you would get in real time.
The longitude. Wait, you would get this in real time?
Yeah, of course. How else are you getting this? So this data is taken in real time and then transmitted to this report.
Okay, so they take this and then they also do triangulation on top of this?
This is triangulation. This is the data you need to triangulate. That's why this is super important. It might be more boring than our viewers are used to, but this is really important for understanding why this information is what it is. It's either going to be killer information in this case, or it's going to be a total nothing burger, like a pro burger, nothing burger.
Okay. I thought you said in the beginning that CDR was not reliable.
Yeah, I did. With one tower. CDR is triangulation. It's the same thing. Here.
Okay, so then what? I don't understand.
What page are we on? So I know to come back to. Okay, 84. We're on page 84. Okay, so this is the latitude and longitude right here, okay? Mm-hmm. Right? And then let's go all the way back up here. Okay, to this. That latitude and longitude is this triangulation.
Yep.
So this phone placed right here is giving the latitude and longitude to this tower down here, the latitude and longitude to this tower right here, and the latitude and longitude to this tower. These three together triangulate and place the device. How do you think they get this in real time? This is real-time data right here. This is what we just saw on that CDR data.
So the call records you're saying, which I thought earlier it also said it wasn't just call records. You get it also from any data connection. And it's
yeah, but we're specifically talking about call records right now, not any other form of data.
Yeah.
Triangulation is only RTT time, nothing else.
Okay, but you don't have to make a call to get that.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So it's any event on your phone sending
exactly
anything to the tower.
Yep. If your phone is on, it is connected like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, okay, so we go back down here to 84. So, do you see where the differences with the real time versus tracking? Like, it's literally impossible for something to be reliable in real time, but not later. It's the same data set, you know? But with one tower, like if you only had one tower here, that is not reliable enough. It is too big of an area.
So when it comes to the jurors, and showing them this information. Like, obviously being a juror is boring regardless, probably. Like sitting there for so long, listening to so much information. I'm sure it gets pretty tedious and boring.
Right.
And when you have an expert come up and present something like this, like, how do you keep their attention? You got to have somebody that can get up there and be able to sell it. So one thing that I saw being talked about that I thought was really interesting was a lot of times you have prosecutors, they have like a cast expert or somebody come in and testify to this information. And then there's no defense expert. A lot of times there's not a defense expert.
I know.
To
it's shady.
Say the other side of it.
I know.
Well, we have one in this case.
Yep.
Which is a win, even if people don't think I don't know, even if people look in his past and want to, cast shade or doubt on him.
The science is
and his expert. Yeah. But it's a benefit regardless, having a defense expert look at this from the other side. Experts theoretically are supposed to be unbiased.
Yeah.
Now, if he shows bias in court and that gets shown, like, it discredits everything. I understand the worry and concern there, but regardless if he had failed tech in the past, like, that doesn't mean his analysis of this is going to be flawed just because if he had tech that failed in the past, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I think having a good expert that has a lot of experience that can take another look at this, because the more eyes you have on it, the better. The more reliable, that it's not going to be manipulated to fit a story. Right. So having him there, a defense expert there, helps the state, like, it puts the flames to their feet.
Yep.
Like, we got to be on it. We can't go up there and just lie. Like, we have to present real information because they have an expert who's going to look at this and they will call us on it. When in the past, in a lot of other cases, you didn't have that. You had nobody testifying against this information, which is unimaginable to me. I think that's why there were so many cases we saw in the past overturned with this information. Is, for one, the old tech. For two, not having defense experts during the initial trial, and then it later being appealed and looked at, re-examined later on. But I can imagine that it will get boring for the jurors to listen to all of this. I think it could be summed up in some ways, though. Wouldn't you think?
I mean,
like, do you think for the jury to understand the nuances of this even a little bit, they would need to see this kind of information that we're looking at right now? Like, this is what CDR is. This is what it shows, a longitude and latitude. This is how we use this information to triangulate. Do they need to understand all of that?
I only know what my experience is. So I'm not sure. I don't know.
Because even though we have a lot of people that are complaining that, oh my gosh, this is boring, I'm just going to check out. The thing is this, in this trial, we're going to be hearing from a state expert and we're going to be hearing from a defense expert on this information.
Yeah.
So how are you, or we, all of us, going to know what to think about it if we don't understand it? Which is why I think it is important to look through this, even if it is a bit dull.
I agree.
Understanding what data they're using, how they obtain it, how they calculate it to come up with an estimate, right or wrong, whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about just the science of how they do it. that's important to knowing what's what when we're looking at the experts testifying against each other, because I've heard like Vinnie Politan, he's like, well, how subjective is this science? Basically, like, is it really up for interpretation, considering you're gonna have a state expert and a defense expert arguing two separate things, which may not happen. I mean, we don't know. We haven't seen any of the evidence yet, but it could just be a defense expert trying to discredit the state's information, not present, which the alibi doesn't indicate. The alibi indicates they're going to come up with their own evidence, trying to prove he was somewhere totally different. But just because he presented that alibi actually doesn't mean he has to argue that in court. He actually doesn't have to. So it could be potentially him just trying to discredit the state's information. But I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I think we are going to hear two different experts arguing two different things. And I think to be able to know who's telling the truth, we have to somewhat have an understanding of this information.
I agree 100%. And I think that that's why it's worth going through this in detail. I really, really do, you know? 90. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. That's why they're trying so hard to make this video not go out there for people to find right now. Like, you guys, we can see when people and bots are messing with our video, we can see it on the analytics. And tonight it is like they're trying real hard. I think we have a total of 800 views that are not legitimate from people trying to make sure the video doesn't hit doesn't follow the YouTube algorithm.
You misspelled freedom, and Tara said you should have put neither.
Oh, I should have. Well, fix it, close it, and do another one.
I'm gonna recast the poll. Just hold on, you guys.
But that's okay, because every view that gets added, it just goes $1 for dollar in marketing. So our video only goes that much further international for every time somebody does that. So thank you. Please keep it up.
Did you say cell data? Will cell data convict or exonerate Bryan Kohberger?
Yep. And isn't that funny that they're trying to hold us back by doing that, and they're the reasons that we're at 65,000 subs. Those marketing dollars are great. Okay. So CDR, sector orientation. Yeah, we've been our channel's been getting hit with bots hard since like December of last year. But you know, we figured out a way to manage it where every single bot view is $1 in marketing. So it's been awesome. They've helped us grow to a number that I didn't think was possible.
Yeah,
it's not an evil laugh. I don't feel any type of way about it or anything.
It's funny because we don't rely on this for money at all. Like every bit of money that we've made from it has just went back into the show. This money doesn't go towards a living wage for either one of us. And it's not that much money. I mean, at all. Nope. So, but every bit of it goes back into the show to make it successful because we care about it. Do we want it to be a profitable show so we can not have jobs and just do the show? Yeah, of course. That's the goal.
Yeah, but
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's no rush. It's not like it's it's not like we have an investment amount from the financial support or whatever. And once that dries up, it's over. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's an endless, it's a bottomless support. It's going to be 5 years minimum. So we are committed to 5 years, regardless what these bots do.
You guys, there are bots are so much more in depth than people even understand.
Yeah.
it's much more in depth.
I'll do another video where I literally post, like right now they just did it. So it went from 273 viewers to 194, and then it pops right back up to 261. And what that does is increases the views for every count that they did that with. And they're trying to reduce the average view duration, which works against the YouTube algorithm. But, you know, since we have been managing this and on it and know what we're looking for and stuff like that, every single one of those is a marketing dollar. So like, oh man, because I was talking to you guys, I didn't track that one. So what was it, 194? So 260, so like another $70. So and those marketing dollars are literally the reason we're at 65,000 right now. It is the sole reason we grew that fast.
No, we are not making $7 grand a month.
$7 grand.
Somebody just asked, so you're not making $7 grand a month? Absolutely
Who said
not.
7 grand?
I don't know.
Because, I mean,
somebody just asked that question.
Yeah,
yes, we pay. Okay, so is the content okay? What?
I just wouldn't talk about it with the bot stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody would know what we make. That he threw out a random number.
Yeah. Because I think what the whole bot thing is trying to do is to like reduce the income of the channel. But hang on.
And get
and 200, so another $80.
Look, I don't want this to come off petty or anything, but Get a Clue literally wouldn't post a video until people donated $1 grand to him. So he hasn't not made any money. And he said he wouldn't do a video unless people gave him money. So no need to be on a moral high ground. If people put work into something, they deserve to get paid.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had said that. I don't know where that came from, but it's not important, and it is. Okay, so marketing is organic growth.
Yeah.
It's not, marketing is not organic growth. So all it does is put your video in front of more eyes.
It enhances the algorithm. It's not buying subs or anything like that. We've never done that.
No way. Nope.
And never would. If you guys look it up, that damages your channel so much.
It does.
It does not help you grow.
It does. So instead, you know, look, there's no way we can stop these bots from YouTube. Okay, there's something else going on here, and it's just outside of what, you know, is within my control. But one thing that we've got an agreement on is every bot view, or every time it impacts that, we just equal that to dollars. So like right there again, we got 288 down to 210, so that's like another $70. So, and it's all organic. It just puts it in front of more eyes. Okay, let's get back into it here. I will say that I'm not willing to comment on whatever Get a Clue's stuff is. I'm not willing to talk about that anymore. Different people have different reasons for doing stuff. And if our channel is trying to get paid to make more videos for you guys, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, we don't want bot views. We don't want any. That's what we're trying to avoid.
We do not want bot views. We do not want any false viewership. We don't want any false subscribers. We don't want any of that stuff, you guys. No, there's no such thing as a bot blocker. That doesn't exist. So instead, we just we send all our analytics to the right people every single video, and I know you were kidding. I just have to be very clear in what I'm saying, because what people try and do is make it seem like you're for, you know, what goes against the terms of service, like bots or subscribers and stuff, and then they will try and flag your content for promoting it, and it does absolutely nothing. There is nothing at all to be gained from it. Nothing at all, ever. We have never bought a single sub and never will, because we don't depend on this income, you guys. So whether the person's goal is to reduce the channel's income or the person's goal is to reduce the visibility, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't impact us at all. Not at all. It doesn't cause frustration. It doesn't cause anything. I just let them control how much marketing dollars that goes into this.
The whole point is, like, the whole point is
evening out the playing field.
It is.
That's all it does.
Like, when your channel's being attacked and all your work is like getting messed with because somebody wants to pay for a bunch of bots to mess with the algorithm and mess up your view count and make it so that you have no upward trajectory, no matter how hard you work on your content or how often you go live or how often you post a video. Taking the money that you're earning from YouTube just to put it back into marketing, which is only putting it in front of more eyes, boosting the algorithm, that is absolutely just evening the playing field. Ugh. Let's just get off the topic, though.
Yeah.
Oh, Heather, was it you that put GPA? I didn't know that. The whole GPOD GPA thing was Heather.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It was a mistake.
What?
Me reading GPA GPA.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna say
something
something
let it bother
dumb.
you. I feel like you're like a little embarrassed by it because it was
I'm
just
not.
so silly.
I'm not. I thought it was such a ridiculous comment. Oh my gosh, she didn't know what GPA was.
Oh.
I gotta unsubscribe because she said GPA and read it wrong.
Yeah.
What a dummy.
I mean,
no, I'm not embarrassed. I just think it's absurd.
I don't think you should be, because you know,
maybe
that's
if
just
I was
human nature.
Maybe
that's just
if
how humans are.
Maybe if I was 12, I would probably, like, back when I'm being legit serious. I'm not even being like a smarty, you know, smarty pants, smart aleck, whatever you want to say. I can't cuss, but when I was 12, I probably would have been embarrassed, like, because I think that's a child thing. Like, you say something silly and you get embarrassed, but not now.
Yeah.
I think it comes off sillier on the person who said it than me, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just didn't know it was Heather. It was funny.
Okay, so the ping. Okay, so look, the GPS ping is sprints. We're going to use sprints because every satellite is owned by the federal government, you guys. The GPS ping is Sprint's location-based service offered to law enforcement. A ping is conducted with the assistance of the cellular provider. A silent message is sent to the phone requesting a location update. The phone uses its own GPS receiver and reports its location. The location accuracy is based upon the phone interacting with a minimum of 4 satellites. A minimum of 4 satellites. What does that remind you of?
Triangulation, cell phone triangulation. Yeah.
So how?
What?
So how could GPS be more reliable than cell tower triangulation when it's using the same science?
Well, there's got to be some variances, no?
I mean, it's a different type of data.
And it doesn't, like you said, the satellites use a clock, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't change how the data gets from one device to another.
And they both use radio frequencies.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. It's the same measurement scale. Like, what it is doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that one's a tower and one's a satellite. It is still timing how long it takes for a piece of data to go from the satellite to the phone and back, or from the tower to the phone and back. It's still.
I see what you're saying. Like, it's basically the same thing. I mean, yeah, it appears that way.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said, what really throws me off with the GPS is how affected it is by the weather. When you explained like literally anything and everything could throw it off and affect it, I was like, what? That seems less reliable to me than cellular triangulation, because of, like, if just clouds, just a human body, like just being in a house, like, I mean, there's so many other things I can't even remember what they are. Every little thing can affect the GPS signal. So how is that more reliable than cell triangulation? Now, obviously, in a situation where you don't have enough cell towers, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. It's just the same scale, the same way of measurement. And I think that's really important.
Okay.
So regardless of how it's being conducted or whatever, the importance, I mean, it's like, okay, the way that these are being tracked is similar to, like, there's addition and subtraction and division. When you use addition, you're replacing the numbers, but it's the same way that you're figuring up the problem. You're adding the two numbers on either side of the addition. So when you're looking at the satellite triangulation or the cell tower triangulation, it's the same way that you're tracking both of them. Just because you're using a GPS, a satellite, or a cell tower, it's still the same way that you're measuring the distance.
Yeah. So question about, okay, so when they're looking at GPS, so cell triangulation, when there's not enough towers, or there's not good connection or whatever, the radius gets wider, right? Like it's less precise. So you'll still be able to put someone in a general area, but it'll just be a wider area, right?
But you're talking huge area. So, like, I don't know, just saying it like that makes me feel like it could be misleading. You're talking huge area. You're going from, like, you know, the size of a half of a football field to the
miles.
Size of a city.
Yeah, miles.
Or something. I don't know. The size of multiple blocks, you know?
Yeah. So now when it comes to GPS, if there's something affecting the strength, like cloud coverage, does it just cut in and out rather than making the radius wider? Like, are you just going to have less data because it's going to be cutting?
Yeah.
Does it make the radius wider?
So,
like it does
you're
with
talking
cells?
about triangulation and trilateration. So the difference is one of them has to come down to a tower system and then also use the satellite above and then configure those two to place it. And then it uses other satellites to also do the same to make sure that the communication ranges. So like this satellite up here, if there's two satellites, okay, if there's two satellites, okay, this satellite here and this satellite here will communicate, and they always know how far they are away from each other. So this satellite knows it's a mile from this one, and then this data goes down to this device at this amount of time. This one goes down to this device at this amount of time, and then it can figure. As long as you have a triangle, you can always figure out where the placement of that device is. You know?
Mm-hmm.
70. But here's an example for sample mapping for RTT. Look, you know how we talked about what sector they're in and then the area? So again, this is one sector here. And then they can be anywhere in this. Do you see this?
With the GPS?
What?
And this is GPS?
No.
Oh, no, the cell
This
tower?
is RTT. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they could be anywhere in this bubble. Do you see how many blocks are in here?
Yeah. That's a...
So one is not detailed enough. Like it is not precise enough. But when you have two, look at how big this is, and it goes down to this. That's just one extra tower cuts off what? 80% of the possibility? All of this right here, and this, and this, and this. So it is now only down to this little area right here. Now think of a third tower. A third tower is going to cut it down even further. Just imagine another one of these right here. You would have almost all of it cut out, down to less than a city block. If you ask me, that is reliable. It just might not be precise enough for every situation.
Right. Like if you're seeing if a neighbor went over to somebody's house and committed a crime.
Yeah. You're not going to have enough
when
towers.
It comes to Bryan Kohberger, he had no business being in that neighborhood, you know?
Yeah. US Cellular. So this is everywhere US Cellular is? Interesting.
What? And it's nowhere in the middle?
And
weird.
I knew US Cellular had not very many subscribers.
I mean, why would you have it if you can't like go across the country and have service?
I don't know. I wish I knew. But that is it. That is such a good picture, though. We're going to have to save that. Because this is the type of example I was looking for to help people understand that.
The sector?
Yeah. That is such a good example of a sector, how big a sector could be, right? Because, and this coverage is not even that big. This is probably what you would see from a 4G or 5G tower.
Right. That doesn't
far.
Yeah, it doesn't look very big.
No. So this is probably a very realistic layout of a populated area. This is a tower, this is a tower, this is a tower, and remember, not each of these dots is an actual tower. Some of these dots can be boosters that just allow multiple devices to be connected to it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And ZJ, this is a good document as long as you remember some of the information is outdated.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think that's what's confusing here is we had a big shift in the way this worked, especially in a court of law, because there's no more 2G or 3G.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all of the, data and research that is pre 5G basically is I'm not going to say it's all trash, but it's not very helpful now because those networks don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless you're looking at an older case, I guess.
And for everyone watching too, you guys, we do have a poll open right now. Will cell data convict or exonerate Bryan Kohberger? So if you want to vote on that, and I know we got a couple thousand people in between the other 7 platforms that we're on. As I said before, if you want to engage in the chat, if you want to be somewhere where you can watch people talking about what we're talking about here and some of the comments and everything, that can be found on YouTube. I know that you can also chat, and we can see it on Twitter or X, and we can also chat and see it on Twitch as well. But the most active chat is very clearly YouTube.
And Tanel, that's exactly what I think. I think that I think Bryan Kohberger had very spotty cell service that night. And I think that's obvious at this point. Like, the cell service around the Moscow and Pullman area is terrible. And if you guys haven't seen the coverage in the area, then you got to check out our cell tower video we did a while back, where we show maps of it. And you can find maps online. Just I think Cell Mapper is a pretty good one, even though it could be difficult for people to navigate. Just, I don't know, it's hard because I've seen people pull up the ones that you get from the carrier where it shows all these spots everywhere. That is not good for this kind of situation when you're looking at cell tower coverage in the area. If you look at our video, you'll see an example of what you need to be looking at when it comes to cell tower coverage maps. And it doesn't look like perfect circles. It doesn't look like spots. It looks like boxes. But I suspect that it is going to be GPS and other geo-blended data that's going to be the majority of the location services that are being used in his defense. Maybe even in the cast report, you know?
Yeah, I think it's very possible.
Like, could they not be turning over the cast report, or the state doesn't want to because and this is, I would hope not. And it would be not smart. So I don't know. I just don't see it happening. But could it be exonerating for him? You know what I mean? I wouldn't think so. Like, that they would just not turn it over. That's hard. You can't just not turn it over, you know? But the thing is knowing that cast, that's what's confusing me here the most myself, is knowing that cast is not just using historical cell location data. They're not just using the CDR. They're not just using the triangulation. They are using GPS. They are using all these other things. Then if Ray, Bryan Kohberger's defense expert, is using something else to try to prove he was at Wawa Park, how did Cass not already know about it?
Yeah,
I know Anne said they were going to be using the state's evidence against them. I know she said that. But how are they going about this another angle? Like, how I think that's what's confusing a lot of people here. I think that's what confuses all the mainstream media people that have talked about this, is like, Cast would already have to know about this.
Yeah.
Is there a chance they don't? Is there a chance there was a missing piece? Because I have heard that GPS data, you have to get it quickly unless it's preserved in, say, metadata, right?
Yeah.
And the device wasn't being used. So metadata is something that can change quickly, right? It can be rewrited over and over, right?
Yeah, as soon as you want. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so in that instance, Bryan Kohberger being out for a month after this crime, could that have been enough time to write over metadata for them not to be able to get an accurate GPS location on him?
It depends on what specifically you're talking about, though, because I think that, like, are we talking about pictures?
Right. It could be pictures
because
that
pictures
he took
isn't
that
going to
night.
get
Right.
written over unless you go out of your way to overwrite it.
So what would be written over?
Apps.
So like the Google Maps.
Yeah.
So that all of the location data from that is not going to be preserved for like a long time. Like if they got a warrant to Google and looked at his background application data, you're saying it could be overwritten?
I mean, it just might not save it long enough.
Okay. So that
depends on how long it saves it, and it's app specific, you know? It's app specific.
So you would really have to look in the background of all the apps he had and see how long they keep that data for.
Yep, you would.
Brendan.
You would. What? Yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure. But
I know in the PCA they're saying they use the cell towers. But okay, Twizzle's like, if his phone was on, the only way he would gain service is coming out of Wawa Way. There's always a cell tower north of where it claims he gains connection if he was leaving Moscow.
But yeah,
coming out of Wawa Way.
Interesting for sure.
What are you doing?
I was just checking. Uploading. Yeah. But all right, you guys, that is it for the show tonight. We appreciate all of you, and I hope you guys all learned a whole bunch. I think it's interesting every time I go into it. What? Is there something you wanted answered?
I just thought we were going to talk for a minute, but...
Well, when I wasn't saying anything, you weren't saying anything.
I was sitting here talking for a while, asking you questions. You were doing something. I was trying to ask you a question, but it's okay.
What?
We can be done.
What's the question?
I mean, you asked me if there was something, so I was just being honest. I thought we were going to talk for a little bit about this.
Okay.
But it's okay. We can get into it more tomorrow. It's been a pretty long show. So
it's just a lot of data.
It is a lot. It was a long document.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is a new day, new show. I have some questions. I have some ideas for tomorrow's show. There's some things I would like to get into when it comes to the expert that we're talking about in Bryan Kohberger's defense, and his past cases, his past work, things like that. Because, I'd like to know what you think about some of those things. So I'll bring some of that to the show tomorrow so we can touch on some of it. Because, people are, of course, digging deep into this expert and all his past experience and all his past cases.
People are just trying to discredit him, which honestly is just messed up. The whole thing is really messed up. Everything about it is messed up.
You think discrediting him is messed up?
Absolutely. I think discrediting anybody, including a prosecution expert, I don't think any of it's okay.
Why?
Because they have the experience that's needed to be the one that's talking about this. So why it is, our society's way to make people feel like, oh, they're lesser than, based on what? Like, what is the scientific value? What is the objection? What's the objective information why this person doesn't have enough experience to speak about this?
Well,
because of a case, because of a judge, because of a singular event that discredits everything in somebody's last 2 decades? Like, that's absurd. Absolutely absurd.
I think we need to see his testimony to be able to really speak on what he's going to be bringing. I
just will never
we've never
agree
seen
with
him
anybody who does that ever about any expert.
You don't think some experts deserve to be discredited?
Nope.
None?
Nope. I don't. Experts don't make ultimate truths. What makes ultimate truths are people listening. That's why so many people don't understand how Thought Riot works and how the true crime talk show works. I'm not up here, with a hammer and chisel, making something concrete and not arguable. We are up here talking about information that is openly available to everybody, telling everyone, do not take this as fact. Just use this as a piece of entertainment and a carrot to go research your own information and data. When an expert comes up there, they are an expert because they have experience in this topic, not because what they're saying is ultimate truth. It is still up to the viewers and people to believe this or not, to take their experience and weigh it against other information sources and determine what is the most likely to be true.
So I think the way you're meaning this is essentially discrediting him on a more personal level. But the thing is when he gets to a court of law, the state could absolutely attack his credibility and try to discredit him and say, what is this with your past cases? How many of your cases have been overturned? What happened to your company?
Got it. You're talking about in the courtroom. That's very different.
Those optics matter in the courtroom.
I mean, so yeah, but the way you're explaining it are two different things. You're talking about him being discredited as an expert by the true crime community. Let's be real here. The true crime community has zero pull in the courtroom, you guys. None. Nobody can say anything on YouTube or any other platform that's going to make the outcome in the courtroom different. All right. So when we're talking about discrediting him, like if it's in relation to what people are saying in the true crime community, then, that's going to be very different than what the prosecution is going to try and argue to discredit his opinion in the courtroom. Those are two very different things. And no, I don't believe any expert should be discredited in the true crime community, because I don't believe any well-rounded attorney will use an expert that can't stand on their own 2 feet. The expert Ann Taylor brought forward for the surveys was a boss, like incredible, absolutely incredible. Handled the entire courtroom and literally made everybody look like a fool. Like he ran that courtroom when he was up there.
He was incredible.
Right?
He was something else.
So to now have the defense, who now has a history of bringing forward really great and credible experts, to come out here and try and discredit another one, that's absurd. It is absurd, and I will not talk about content creators anymore, but it happens in the true crime community. It's why I am refusing to be a part of it. I absolutely refuse. I will never come out here and try and discredit somebody else out there. That is so childish. Like, I'm an adult and I am a representative of who I am as a person, and I choose to represent myself in a higher standard than coming out here and trying to put somebody else down so that I can go up. That's a flaw in humanity. You put that's the rats in a bucket in water, and they pull each other down to try and make sure they can stay alive. I refuse to be a part of it. Absolutely refuse.
I think that is a wonderful, wonderful point to make. Yeah. I agree. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's mic drop. That's it.
Mic drop. That's it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you leave a comment under the video. You guys, please leave a comment under the video. It helps us with the algorithm as our videos are being attacked. You know, there are people out there that don't want this knowledge to get out there to people. So you yourself are the reason that it can get out there to others. And you do that by hitting the like button, and you do that by leaving a comment under the video. So thank you all ahead of time. You all are incredible.
I think we have a super chat.
That that Thought Riot Podcast is what it is because all of you incredible people.
Yes. Yeah. We never got to the super chat.
What?
Bryce's super chat. And
I'm sorry, Bryce. I apologize for that. Thank you very much. You're always coming through and hooking the show up, and we appreciate you, and thank you for that. Y'all need to pay for Chat GPT 4, right? I try and use it as little as possible because, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I want to learn these things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really helpful for information that I don't know, but I try really hard not to use it. Like, I've never used it for the podcast. But
did you see the other one?
What other one? This?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we already did this one. I apologize. Okay. I get a free chat message with the membership. Yes. Awesome. We appreciate you for being a member for 4 months, Tara. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And
yes,
to everybody else, hit that thumbs up, hit those stars, leave a comment under the video. And thank you all for being you, and just keep being you.